Welcome back. A new rule on how real estate agents get paid will go into effect today. The change comes after a lawsuit against the National Association of Realtors. Here's what you need to know this morning. Joining us right now is real estate expert Stacey Leslie. Good morning to you, Stacey.
Good morning, Cleo.
All right, so tell us what's going on this morning. Glad to have you. There's some new guidelines. What's happening right now?
Yes, buying and selling a home across the country, and specifically in Texas, is going to look a lot different for most people as of today. If you're a buyer looking to purchase a home, you're now going to be asked to sign a buyer representation agreement before viewing a home. This form has always been out there. However, the point at which a buyer signs it in the process wasn't as transparent and set in the past. So this is helping a buyer better understand that they have always been asked to compensate their realtor if the seller of the property does not. And don't let that scare you. You don't have to commit to an agent if you're just meeting them for the first time or not completely comfortable that they are going to be your realtor of choice. This form does allow for just a single property showing until you become comfortable.
Oh, okay. So right now, most sellers, they do pay that negotiable commission of about 5 to 7% split between buyer and seller agents. But how will that look for the sellers as of today? Who does this really benefit?
Yeah, if you're a seller at the time of listing with a realtor, again, it's always been negotiable on what the seller will pay in compensation to both realtors. So in the past, they would agree to an amount with their listing agent and an amount for the buyer agent. And then at closing, the seller would give that money to the listing broker, who would turn around and give the agreed upon amount back in the beginning to that buyer agent. And that amount could have been zero back then. But as of today, compensation is going to be even more transparent. That seller can choose how and if they want to compensate the buyer's agent. It can be a
Wow.
percent to the buyer agent. It could be a concession to the buyer to be able to pay the buyer's agent, or they could choose nothing. Just remember, in choosing nothing on the seller side, they need to remember that it could greatly affect the number of buyers that can afford to purchase their home.
Man, Stacey, a lot going on here. What if the buyer doesn't have that extra cash, those extra funds to pay a buyer's agent?
Yeah, there's several things that can be done. Then you can submit offers in a different type of way. So the buyer could ask in their offer for a concession, which is just money back at closing to help pay their agent. They could ask the sellers to pay their buyer agent directly. It may not be an issue if it was pre-negotiated that the compensation would go to the buyer agent. Everything's still negotiable. And, buyers could choose, if it's a home that won't offer commission to their buyer's agent, they could just choose not to see those homes.
Hey, Stacey, what is the market looking like right now before we go with inflation so high?
Yeah, the market has come down a bit in the past few weeks. The rates are coming down a bit, but we're seeing homes stay on the market a bit longer, giving
Yeah.
more options for buyers to pick from. Currently in DFW, the average days on market is sitting at 45. That's up about 10% from the previous months. And we are seeing foreclosures on the rise. So homeowners, if you feel like you're struggling, reach out to an agent and try and avoid that foreclosure and get your equity back out and save your credit.
Ooh, that makes sense. Stacey, oh my God, a wealth of knowledge this morning. How can people reach out to you before we go?
Sure. Stacy at the DFWagency.com, or our phone number is 214 544 9339.
All right, Stacey, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Hope to have you back pretty soon.
Perfect. Thanks, Cleo.
Of course.